Hey, when RemanX here, and I want to talk about kind of a general problem I have with Marvel Strike Force and a big miss that they have, and it's been happening about once a month, like clockwork, on character releases, and it's a really big problem overall. We're going to talk about when it started, the solutions they've kind of had, how many players and people that we've lost along the way to this bug, and I want to address what I think they should do at the end, because it's a big problem for all of you, whether you know it or not. Let's start with the character 1 million BC release, Black Panther 1 million BC as a free-to-play player. I don't have him unlocked yet, and I also don't have red stars on him. I don't know if I was part of the player base that opened my elite orbs. I've been relatively busy with a family problem this week, and I haven't had a lot of time to play Marvel Strike Force. So with this comes the fact that there was a rate-up issue that he didn't appear in the lead orbs. Now, that happens more frequently than it should. The fact that characters can appear in the banner and not actually be in the orbs, etc., 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 has become a problem since Emma over 2 years ago. And it's funny because she's finally out of the milestone orb that we still have this recurring problem. My biggest problem is the last time this happened to me was specifically with Spider-Man Noir. Spider-Man Noir, I had already become free to play, so I had already decided that I wasn't going to be spending on the game, but I opened my elite orbs during the wrong window, and I was extremely pissed off because he wasn't rate up, but I got compensated to the tune of several elites. But here's my problem. I legitimately felt bad because not only did I already open elites, I actually got account upgrades out of them. So essentially, I got double the orbs to get red stars. So that's a big miss for the entire community. This compensation, again, something has to occur when this happens, but they're missing making it an equal opportunity for every member of the community. What's happening is among the Krakens and a lot of players, they now are trained, and many of them discuss how bad it feels to open those orbs in that brief window when there's a mistake with the hopes of being compensated. Otherwise, they're missing out on the potential to grow their roster faster than their neighbor. We'll talk about that. If you want to live by the leaderboards, you will die by the leaderboards, Scopely. The fact that you have these leaderboards that have existed in the game as a measuring stick for players, and then you give people different opportunities, you have failed us. Period. End of story. You have failed your player base who are spending time and money on this game. And it's a problem. You may not see it as a problem because maybe it doesn't affect your roster, but knowing now that once a month players could be dropping 30 or 40 elite orbs that they've hoarded and then getting them all back and making significant upgrades to your account, stop and think about that. Stop and think about that. You're facing them in Crucible. You're facing them in Wars. You're facing them in Arena. And they have better characters that are harder to kill than yours. And I'm sorry, no amount of skill is going to take care of that for you. It's eventually going to be something that ever distribution is going to keep happening. And so this is on Scopely. They allow this to happen over and over again. And while it does make people whole getting them the character before the event, people have characters now that are unlocked without any red stars on them. And so what happens is, guys, Krakens just buy more orbs so that they can get the character. So Scopely is probably so narrow that they're looking at their bottom line and saying, oh, wow, people just bought more red stars. This isn't really a problem. No, it's a problem, guys. Yags and Cindy left the game over how you handle the multiple man compensation. The problem you have is, periodically, players aren't getting compensated when this happens. That sometimes, regardless of when they actually open the orbs and they have the documentation to prove it, your system doesn't show them being in that window, and they don't get compensation, and they just up and leave. This is something that continues to happen on a large basis, and it is a scam of the worst sense. because it feels bad for everyone. Everyone feels bad. Players that know that the rate up is happening and decide that they want to do the right thing and not click on their orbs feel bad when they realize that they're being left in the dust when that compensation mail comes in and they see their alliance mates pop open 6s and 7s with the double down orbs they got. You have failed us over and over and over again. The only way to make this right, and you have to take the ownership of this, is to give everyone the opportunity to do this, to open their orbs. Everybody should get double the orbs during this event. Everyone. The next 24 hours, it should be communicated and allow everyone to have the same opportunity as the players that have it in that brief window who happen to be tuning into offer review, or happen to be watching a stream, or happen to get that notification from their cluster server. And if you guys don't think it's a big effect, I can show you hundreds of notifications where alliances are telling their players to open their orbs to take advantage of this. And you guys know the thing that pisses me off the most is the fact that it pushes people to the end of their own integrity. And players who take a firm line in the sand are looking around and deciding that this is now the normal course of action. And you know what? I'm not going to be some idiot that tells you bugs don't matter. Because at the end of the day, if these bugs keep happening, guys, they'll be sitting with themselves on an empty carrier, telling themselves in an echo chamber that bugs don't matter. Bugs kill games. Your response to bugs kill games. And even despite the fact that you've had some amazing communication over the past weeks, you're not getting it right for the entire player base. If you played the game that we would, you'd understand why we want this level of compensation. Because it's just an inequitable distribution of resources. The same thing when people get gold offers or mats, extra mats. This is the same thing, except it's red stars, which is probably the single most beneficial thing you could do to bring up your characters. Again, my rant is just probably falling on, empty promise after empty promise that you guys are going to stop this from happening. That this is a major concern, that you want to give us a world-class experience. This happens way too often for it to be an accident. So maybe I'm going to stop excusing this as an accident and giving you the benefit of the doubt and call it what it feels like. It's a scam. And it's a scam of the worst sense because it's taking advantage of your player base's goodwill and confidence that you know how to deliver a game that you yourselves would want to play. Even the dog agrees. Remember, guys, I do things so you don't have to, and my blood pressure is going to be coming down at some point. But this needs to get out there. You need to be made aware of how this is impacting you on a daily basis, and we cannot let this stand. This needs to be our line in the sand here.